Yeah, 100%. I would say that it's refreshed a lot of things for me, and it my confidence now build up so much because of after studying 20 years and getting into the deep, it's very my confidence is on a high level. Keep on, that's for the exam preparation also. That's my fundamental. I'm not going to memorize anything, otherwise my memory is going to drain. I'm not going to. And by looking and attending your classes, I never memorized. For example, this synchronous motor equations. If you ask me now, I cannot give the answer, but if you tell me to derive, I can derive with the this the KCL and KVL equations. Yeah, and that's delaying, and then I got to know about your stuff. And if something I know the structure way, then I can do definitely and that's the the key why I joined your class, because this is the program is the structured program. And after passing 17 years, after the graduation, it's very difficult to pass the FE exam, all those the signal processing and the computers and everything. So yeah, that's structured programming.
Hi, Sadanand.
Hey, good morning, Wasim.
Good morning. How is it going?
Yeah, it's going well.
So, Sadanand, thanks a lot for taking time to do this interview. Um, I got to know you after you enrolled in my FE program. You passed FE Electrical in the first attempt, and then you took the P Power exam right after that and passed the P Power exam in the first attempt. That's how we got to know each other. Um, but the interview format for this particular session is a little bit different because I understand you're an internationally trained engineer from India, right? Very experienced, very smart, very knowledgeable, very actively participated throughout the live trainings, and clearly know a lot about power system. And there are a lot of engineers who come to the US from India and from abroad, right? And there are a few challenges that engineers always face. Um, I mean, other professionals do as well, but since we are in the domain of engineering, we're going to talk educatedly about engineering. So you've been how long you've been in the US roughly?
Yeah, it's almost 10 years in the US.
So you've been in the US for almost 10 years, right? And you've been working as a power systems engineer, correct?
Yeah, power system engineer and general engineering.
Right. And you recently got onto the P licensing process, correct? You started that in 2023. That's when you passed your FE exam in the first attempt, right? And then you hopped onto the P power and then got that done within a relatively short period of time. So, what prompted you to actually pursue P license in the US?
Yeah, basically, in our office, there are the P engineers uh, are there, and just other people are giving more weightage to these persons.
Right,
uh, and basically I am designing everything, but the credit is taken by somebody else.
right.
So that's the first motivation for me. Then other things will follow us after PEs, like the salary increase or recognitions, and all those things will follow.
So getting the recognition for the work and taking ownership of your work was the primary motivator, and then followed by obviously other opportunities, salary increases, better projects, better titles, promotions. So that's all the good stuff. So what held you back for 10 years? Like, when did you get to know about the P license? How early when you were in the US? Was it in the first year, the second year?
Yeah, I got to know in the first year itself.
Okay.
uh, but it's holding me back. The people are talking about, hey, for this exam I'm taking the two suitcase of books. I said I'm not going to study two suitcase of book and run
That's
around
when
with
it
the
was
book.
open book, yes.
Yeah, and that's delaying, and then I got to know about your stuff. And if something I know the structure way, then I can do definitely and that's the the key why I joined your class, because this is the program is the structured program. And after passing 17 years, after the graduation, it's very difficult to pass the FE exam, all those, the signal processing and the computers and everything. So yeah, that's structured programming.
Right. Yeah. So that's interesting because um, although when the P exam, I actually took the open book exam when they used to be you could bring in suitcases of reference materials.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I have a feeling that it is unstructured, right? In the sense that they can ask you anything, but they still give you a specification. But then, of course, if you are using exam preparation resources that sort of gives you a little bit more direction, then it does become easy. So, coming back to your decision to jump into the P license, initially it was being held back because you felt like you don't know where to start, right? And it sounded a little bit overwhelming. But trust me, based on my experience, you passing the FE in the first attempt, like most of my students do, and the P power in the first attempt, you were always in the top 5 percentile of the students, right? Because, and that was not necessarily because of my program, it was primarily because of the time and effort that you were putting in, right? And within that group of students that we had in the FE, when you were going through the live training and the PE, when we were going through the live training, you were always in the 5-10 percentile, right? um, so having a little bit more clarity definitely does help. And when you found that, you basically ran away with it because you didn't take any break between FE and PE, and you jumped into P right after FE, right? How long was your break?
Yeah, it's again is a planned break, like a 6 month, because I want to enjoy the summertime and come back on to, that's a planned one. And I know that I'm going to enroll your class, and if and that is a structured program, and if I put the efforts, I'm going to pass. That's
Right. Okay. Good. So we're gonna come back to you passing these exams and becoming a licensed PE. But going back a little bit, during your initial days in the US, so I think you moved from India to to US. Sort of, it was a branch to branch transfer. So in your case, you didn't necessarily have to. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't necessarily have to sort of find work, right? Is that right?
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so your story is a little bit different, but then working with a lot of fellow engineers who were internationally trained, and you yourself were in the same boat. uh, how important do you think it is for internationally trained engineers to pursue this license based on your experience after passing this exam, getting the license, um, the changes that you've seen in the job market, and the attention that you're getting, the recognition? If you had known that this was the path and this was the result, would you have done it sooner?
Yeah, obviously, like I have now, I'm getting the weightage, or I would say my fundamental rights, that I need to ask my what you're going to give me the salary. Like earlier, I used to say that, hey, what you can offer me, like yes, what value. But now I'm asking the value to them. Hey, I need this value. So that's the fundamental change is coming, and the respect, in the organization that people give.
Right. So if somebody comes to the US as an internationally trained engineer, right? If they wait and wait and wait and wait and procrastinate, they do get a job within their field, right? Start working in and developing skill set and whatnot. So the trajectory of this person who continues in this direction, right, as an internationally trained engineer, let's pick the example from India, right? And especially in the power systems field, it's not like software. Software is a completely different beast altogether. In software, you, even if you don't have any degrees, you can be star, right? But in a more structured, in a more conventional type of a substream within electrical engineering, which is power systems, if you're coming from India and you're not pursuing the license and you're doing your own thing, and working in the field and slowly and gradually working your way towards gaining experience, versus somebody who's doing all of that and then on top of that is pursuing the license as well, how different do you think that their career outlook is going to be 5 years down the road?
I would say the who is doing only the like engineering without the PE license, it will be like the saturated for them to work on. There is no progress on the front of the salary increase or recognition or the designations. So it will be saturated for them.
Right. And the level of effort that you had put in, right? Was it worth it?
Yeah, 100%. I would say that it's refreshed a lot of things for me, and it my confidence now it build up so much because of after studying after 20 years and getting into the deep, it's very my confidence is on a high level.
Right. That's good. And the FE exam probably was a little bit more challenging for you because it covers all 17 sections, 4 years of undergraduate studies, right? As compared to the PE. Is that right?
Yeah, this is very difficult for the FE program compared to the PE program.
Because you had to study stuff that you really don't apply that much at work, with exceptions, certain exceptions, obviously power systems and whatnot. And then when it got to the PE power exam preparation, you were very focused, completed all of the content, the on-demand content, attended the live sessions. In fact, I think you attended 2 rounds of live sessions, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Right. Yeah, I want to take the benefit of this one, and ensure that my fundamentals are getting concrete and concrete. That's the way it's always works for me. If I go second round or third round, my fundamentals are getting concrete and concrete. So it will be lifetime for me now.
Right. And then the catch over there is that it's not memorization, right? By repeating it over and over again, it's not memorization. In the first round, maybe you understand 70% of the content. In the second round, you bring it up to maybe 80-90%, right? And when you're looking at it for the third time, you are very intentionally, trying to figure out the deficiencies, right, in your understanding. And now that the foundation is laid, you have the luxury of thinking, what if this happens, what if that happens, what if this happens, right? And then you are further able to bring it up to, it's a continuous learning process. So I don't think that we are ever 100% sure, because there's always more knowledge, but within a very defined set of knowledge base, I think you can get pretty much high in 90s, right, if you take this approach.
Yeah, right. That's right. If you keep on, that's for the exam preparation also. That's my fundamental. I'm not going to memorize anything. Otherwise, my memory is going to drain. I'm not going to. And by looking and attending your classes, I never memorized. For example, this synchronous motor equations. If you ask me now, I cannot give the answer. But if you tell me to derive, I can derive with the this the KCL and KVL equations.
Yeah, we went through a bunch of derivations in the program, right? To be honest, even I don't remember half of those equations, more than half of the equations. But again, I mean, my approach was that let's derive things, right?
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
we
Go
did
to
in
the
class.
basics. Yeah,
Go back to the basics, the first principles. And you thoroughly enjoyed the P power exam preparation, I could see, because you were actively participating, providing your input, and asking quality questions and helping other students out as well along the way, right? So it was a good refresher for you.
yeah. 100%. I enjoyed. If I get one more chance, I will. I will enjoy one yeah, again
No,
and
you're more
again.
than welcome to go through another round, but don't wish for taking the P exam again, though. That is not a fun experience, right? The exam is tough. Is it one of the most difficult exams you've ever taken, Sadanand?
Ye- Yes, after the PE, after the FE, I would say the PE is the difficult. And if I do the comparison, the FE is tough than PE because for PE, whatever the day-to-day work I'm doing here, the grounding, lighting, the protections, this is my everyday work.
Right, right. Sounds good. Tell me a little bit more about the credential evaluation portion, because that's one of the things that I think internationally trained engineers would be interested in, right? So, what's a credential evaluation process for somebody who's internationally trained, let's say specifically from India? What did you have to do to qualify for these exams? I think for FE, there's no qualification required. You can just create a profile and take the FE exam. Most of the states are like that, right?
Right. This recommendation for this credential evaluation, I will recommend, when you are applying for the FE, you can start the procedure. It's a long procedure and tedious procedure. because you have to connect with your universities. If you are not accredited universities, then that university has to send the envelope, the closed envelope, back to the NCEES, and you have to pay around $250 for the credit evaluation. And after the evaluation, they will do the
They'll start the
credentials.
application. Yeah, credential evaluation, they start after that. Yeah, they have to receive the transcripts directly from the university. Yeah.
Universities, right? And normally from the Asian countries, the backlog is on the general science normally
In terms of deficiencies you're talking about.
deficiencies, right?
Right. Yeah. Not
And
on the
then
technical side. So when
mm,
they evaluate, you're saying that based on your observation, experience, and in your particular case as well, I think you were telling me that typically it's the general humanities and those type of subjects, right?
correct, correct.
That they find deficiencies in. So how do you address those
So that will be addressed using the CLEP program, which is available,
CLAP courses? And they're
right?
not that
And it
expensive, right? And actually, NCS has a list that they can provide you for the approved courses, and the courses are what, like $100 each, something like
Yeah,
that.
around that one. They give the list of the program, and I would recommend to go with that same list, because if you do the CLEP programming,
Right.
the credits directly convert to the NCES. You don't have to
Right.
formally send to
So
them.
it's a streamlined process, right? And
Yeah,
those courses are not that difficult.
that's right.
A lot of my other students have taken those courses, and it doesn't require 400 hours of preparation. You can, put in some focus time and effort. I think in a few weeks, couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, depending on how you study, how much you want to study, type of thing, you can get
Right.
them done. Have you gotten started on any of those CLEP courses yet?
Not yet started. I just created the login and paid the fees.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So once you get the CLAP courses taken care of, then your credentials, any deficiencies are addressed. Passing the exam is, requires hard work. FE exam, 300, 400 hours, 250 hours, 200 hours. And then the P exam typically takes more than 400 hours. You get the exams out of the way, and if you have experience under your belt, you will get the P license right away. You still have to go through the supplementary experience record, experience verification, and whatnot. So there's a lot of overhead documentation, but it's once it's one and done. So you just have to do it once, and the process is very streamlined. The process is very streamlined now. So don't hold yourself back, right? I guess that would be our advice, right, Sadhanand, to internationally trained engineers. Just because you have to do a little bit of documentation, just because you have to pass two exams, don't put off P license, because it will put a ceiling to your career. And look at it as a project. The documentation itself is a separate project. Passing the FE exam is a separate project. Passing the P exam is a separate project. And if you use the right effective, helpful, effective exam preparation resources, your journey will become a little bit easier, right? And in the long run, you will reap the rewards.
Correct, correct. Yes.
All right. Any advice for folks who are thinking about electrical engineering, right? To pursue electrical engineering, whether they are in high school or they're going through the university college, right? Or they may be at the start of their career. What do you see happening in the industry that should serve as a good incentive for new engineers to jump into power systems?
Right. So all young engineers, I will suggest, you should prefer the electrical engineering, because next 10, 15, or maybe, 20 years will be the electrical era, specifically in the US, because of the hardening requirement in the electrical infrastructure, then the decarbonization. In the decarbonization, you have the battery storage, and apart from that, this EV market is coming up, which is required mm, uh, a lot of thorough understanding about the power flow. It's a bidirectional power flow. Earlier is a unidirectional, now is a bidirectional. And the decarbonization is another thing. It's like the PV or the offshore wind. Those are the things. So yeah, I will recommend the electrical engineer is the should be on the top priority.
Right, and even cybersecurity, because the overlap between power systems and cybersecurity is becoming more and more critical, right? I think there was a internet outage yesterday, or day before yesterday. WhatsApp, Facebook, Google got impacted, right? So electricity grid is also a vulnerable target, and electrical engineers with some networking background will probably have better handle on it rather than just your good old software and computer networks engineers, right? So lots of exciting stuff, and I think you correctly put it that this is the era of electrical um, engineering, in the sense that there are a lot of unanswered questions. It's not that the industry is mature and it is asking for more engineers. It's actually asking for answers to questions, right, that are out there, and that's what makes it more exciting, right? And it's at the cutting edge. So anybody who is interested in pursuing power systems, I mean, me and Sadanand, both of us are biased because we have over a decade of experience. He has almost 2 decades of experience, right? So I think when you started power systems engineering, Sadanand, it used to be very boring, right? Very conventional, very slow moving.
Right.
Um, and in the last 5 years, not even 10 years, last 5 years,
Mhm.
things have drastically changed. Do you agree?
Right. Yeah, 100%. This microgrid and the communication, then cybersecurity is coming up.
Power quality as well. So many different types of devices that are being used, so many different phenomenons that we are experiencing, and a lot is being asked. So we have to conserve the energy, we have to be more efficient, right? The whole element of sustainability is a big deal. And it is factored in with pricing as well, because at the end of the day, your client, your employer, is facing a rising energy cost as well. So from all aspects, it is, a very interesting and exciting optimization exercise where you have to balance so many different things at the same time.
Right, right. And after PE, like after doing, and if you're knowledgeable and you're a PE, few of my friends, they are getting the salary like a 250K, and they're asking more. If I want to join next company, they should pay me more than 250K.
Yeah, $250,000 for electrical engineers, electrical PEs. This was unthinkable. Again, like 5 years ago, it was unthinkable. Maybe if you're an executive, if you're a director or something, and you're not doing technical work, at that point in time, you're sort of a managerial, right? Type of a C-suite type of a person, correct? But for technical folks to be paid that much within power systems, within electrical engineering, this was unheard of. But it's all supply and demand, right? There's a lot more demand for high quality electrical engineers with PEs, with experience and expertise, and very little supply, because a lot of these problems are brand new problems. And even if you are joining, well, that's what I tell my students who get their P license. I tell them that if you are entering the renewable field right now with zero experience, right, there are not many people who have 10 years of experience. It's still relatively new. Okay, 5 years down the road, you are going to be probably the most experienced person wherever you're working. So keep that in mind. Okay, thanks a lot for your time again, Sadhanand. Always nice chatting with you, and all the best with your future career endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section of this video below. You can find tons of success stories of my FE Electrical and PE Power students over here. And if you want to learn more about preparation of FE Electrical and Computer exam and the PE Power exam, then check out these playlists over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.